is up, everyone, and welcome to the debut episode of the New Japan Takeover. Finally, it's here. It's happening. I was originally planning on doing this with a friend, but plans kind of fell through, but it's okay. I can do it solo, probably. Just bear with me. It is the debut episode, and it is the first time I ever do anything on my own, so let's just get right into it. Just a brief explanation. This show is obviously, as the New Japan Takeover, going to be specifically about New Japan. I'm going to start off slow and just do like the major pay-per-views / events. So in this month, we are going to be talking about New Japan's biggest pay-per-view, Wrestle Kingdom's Nights 1 and 2. I was planning on including 3, but I am trying to keep this under half an hour. And also, Night 3 includes, Pro Wrestling Noah, and I know not a lot of people are familiar with it, so there's a chance maybe not many people would want to stay and watch for that. So we'll just stick with the 2 nights, which is the usual, for Wrestle Kingdom. And I'm going to be looking at my phone because I had to take notes on my notes app on my phone because I actually watched New Japan or Wrestle Kingdom at the airport both nights because I was stranded at an airport. If you have not heard that story, I'm pretty sure it's in one of the shows for the ShElite showcase that I've mentioned. I was stranded in Atlanta and Orlando, so you can hear about that there. But so yeah, let's just get right into it. So I'm going to include just the pre-show match for only night 1, only because it does have to do with what goes into night 2, and it is the King of Pro Wrestling, the New Japan Rambo, where you have like a battle royal, and the final 4 participants, or the final 4 left standing, compete in night 2 and try and compete for the trophy of KOPW, or King of Pro Wrestling. So the entrants in order are as followed. We have Chase Owens of the Bullet Club, Aaron Henry, Koji Fujita, who's the Young Lion, and Young Lion, Yuto Nakashima, Ryohei Oya, Master Wato, Hiroshi Tenzan, Minoru Suzuki, Satoshi Kojima, Taka Michinoku. I'm trying my very best to pronounce these names. I'm not the best at pronunciation in English, so Japanese, good Lord help me. We had Sima, which was actually his first appearance in New Japan in like over a decade. He made an appearance in AEW in 2020, but this is the first time we've seen him back in New Japan for a fucking long ass time. So it was really good to see him back. And then we had Tomoaki Honuma Doki, Yuji Nagata, Yoshinobu Kanemaru, Togi Makabe, Bad Luck Fale of the Bullet Club, Tatsuyumi Fujinami. It was apparently his first match in New Japan since the 70s, which I think is fucking incredible. The fact that he even showed up, good to see. And our final entrant, who was the current or last year's winner of the KOPW, Toru Yano. And the match was pretty good. We had, our battle royal, and our final 4 standing was Toru Yano, because, kind of made sense. He's the current holder, so of course it would make sense for him to defend it. Sima, Minoru Suzuki, and Chase Owens. It was a good match. I gave it 3.25 stars. There was a lot of surprises, and I know Yano kind of just showed up, and he barely did anything. He was the last entry, but I mean, it kind of makes sense. It's just kind of how Toru Yano is. So then we go into the actual, the main card, the main, show. This battle royal happened before. It is the pre-show. And so our first match, the opening match, was Sho of the Bullet Club versus his former tag team partner, Yo. They've had, some beef going on, and it finally has led up to this match where Yo finally gets his redemption over Sho. He's had a little trouble, as the build to Wrestle Kingdom was going, but he finally got his redemption by winning. It was a good match, and it was a good comeback for Yo, so big congrats. Our next match, we had a tag team match. It was Hiroshi Tanashi, and if you know me, if you've ever seen anything about the ShElite showcase, you know that I fucks with Hiroshi Tanahashi. Go Ace, freaking love the guy. We had him with Rocky Romero and Raisuke Taguchi versus Kenta, El Phantasmo, and Taiji Shimori, which are all Bullet Club members. I think it was a good little stand-in match, especially for what's to come in night 2. The Bullet Club did win, but by disqualification. And this is where, another reason why I freaking love Tanhashi. So Tanhashi is all about, I play by the rules. I don't, use weapons. I don't, I win fairly basically. So his matches are, either, if he's in a tag match, cool, but his singles matches are just one-on-one. It's not no DQs or, death matches. He doesn't do that. He's always lived by, I win things fairly. I don't need weapons to win. So, but here's the thing. During the match, Kenta was going to use a kendo stick on Tana, but Tana caught him and he used the kendo stick on Kenta. And the ref tried to stop him, but Tana actually shoved the ref away from him and started using the kendo stick. So Tana actually costed the match for his team. But I loved to see it because Tana finally snapped and he walked backstage like looking pissed, and it just looked ready for night 2, which he challenges Kenta for the IWGP United States Championship. So that was a good, little teaser and a good little lead up to what's to come in the next night. So, and I guess another thing to note when I included in my notes is that last year at Wrestle Kingdom 15, he could have used the chair against Great O'Connor. It was introduced into the match. It wasn't a no disqualification match, but he could have used it, but he refused. And it's, really wild to see that a year later, instead of refusing, he actually used the fucking weapon. Love to see it. So our third match was the United Empire, Will Ospreay, which God bless, he's back. I've missed him in New Japan. I know he's been going around like, the rest of the world and, in the States and stuff, but he hasn't been in New Japan for a while. So it was really good to see him back. But so Ospreay, the Great O'Khan, and Jeff Cobb, who are all part of the United Empire, against Sanada, Bushi, and Tetsuya Naito of Los Ingobernables de Japan, or LIJ for short. United Empire won that match. I gave it 4 stars. It was a really good match, and Naito and Ospreay being back, it's just really good to see. Naito was out for an injury. I know he had returned before Wrestle Kingdom, but it was good to see him back in time for Wrestle Kingdom. And then Ospreay, it was just really good to see him, back in Japan in general, because fuck, I missed him, man. So the fourth match, pretty historic. We had Katsuyori Shibata, who had his first actual one-on-one match since 2017, where he had a very serious head injury. He did a massive headbutt, and he was severely injured and ended up having to retire from in-ring action because of it. But he's back. He had like a 5-minute exhibition match. I believe it was against Zack Sabre Jr. That was good. And I know myself, as well as many New Japan fans, wanted more. We wanted another match out of Shibata, which he did. And they didn't announce who his opponent was until the night of, which was actually Ren Narita, which is someone who he trained. So I think that is a good, that's a good start, someone who he's trained, someone who knows, I guess how Shibata rolls, because, he was trained by him. So I think that's a good one to, start off with. And it was a really good match. And it was just, I gave it 5 stars only just because Shibata is back. I know this is something that we thought we wouldn't see, but, with wrestling nowadays, anything is possible. People can come back from, injuries that you think are career ending for good. So it was a really good match, and I'm really glad to see Shibata back. Next match, we had Evil of Bullet Club against Tomohiro Ishii for the Never Openweight Championship, which Evil ended up beating Ishii. Of course, there was outside interference by Dick Togo, who was with Evil. Dick Togo is really just like the best outside interference guy, I guess, because he's always there to interfere. That's like his main job at this point. But it was a good match. I give it 4 stars. Maybe it could have been ranked a little higher. I was just a little bitter, if you will, because I freaking live for Tomohiro Ishii. The dude's fucking awesome, and I thought they would have gone further with him in this title reign. I thought him actually getting the Never Openweight Championship would actually, I thought it was a step forward for Ishii, because he deserves a lot better. They did him dirty in the G1. I thought maybe now he would get a nice, lengthy, badass reign. It was a good reign, but I think it could have been better, and I think it could have been longer for sure. So a little upset about that, but it was still a good match, and congrats to Evil, nothing against him. But again, I live for Ishii, so, it was a little bit of a bummer for me. But 6th match, we had Sorry, I just fucked that up. Hiroki Goto and Yoshihashi of Chaos taking on Dangerous Tekkers, the team of Taichi and Zack Sabre Jr., for the IWGP Championship. Goto and Yoshihashi did win this match. It was a really good match, and I think it was a good rebound for them because they had just recently lost the the Never Openweight 6-man tag titles, which was, I believe, the longest reign ever with those titles, and it was a really good reign, and it was sad to see them lose, but I'm glad that they kind of, got a little bit of a rebound with winning these titles. So good to them. Good for them. And I almost just dropped my phone there. Shit. Our 7th match, which is our semi-main event, is El Desperado versus Haramu Takahashi of Los Ingobernables de Japan. Really good match. This match I gave 4.5 stars. El Desperado retained the junior heavyweight championship against Hiromu Takahashi. Personally, I did want Hiromu to win, but I only hope that this means that Hiromu can start going towards the heavyweight division. I know I wanted him to replace Naito in the G1 because Naito lost his first match, but that was the same match he got injured, so it wouldn't be like, oh, well, Hiromu didn't take any points away. Like, no, it would have kind of been like a fresh slate. I think he should have, taken over, because I want to see Hiromu win a heavyweight title, even if it's like the Intercontinental Championship, that one's called. But like whether it's the US title or even the Never Openweight title, or maybe at some point we could see him with the World Heavyweight title. I don't know, but I would love to see it because the dude's hella talented and he shouldn't be just held back by being just in the junior division. I think he needs more than that, and I hope that they give him more than that. So now moving to our main event of night 1, we have Kazuchiko Okada taking on the current I'll get to it. The champion, the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, Shingo Takagi. Fucking amazing match. It was fantastic. I could talk about it all day if I could, but again, I'm trying to keep this at 30 minutes. But if you haven't watched it, you should definitely go watch it and then watch it again, because it was phenomenal. And I gave it 5 stars, and Kazuchika Okada finally won the title. I know he had been going after it for a bit, and he beat Takagi, and it was a really good match. There's nothing more to say. Like, again, I could talk so much about it, but I'm going to hold myself back and just say I'm very happy for Okada. I know, it was a pretty long journey for him to come get the title back, or at least the biggest title. I know he really wanted the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, but he, I think, has accepted the World Heavyweight Championship, which good for him, because I still have not really accepted it. I've just kind of tolerated it. But it was a really good match. I'm super, super happy for Okada, especially after his underwhelming victory in the G1. If you didn't know, he won the G1 finals, hence the reason why he got to come and compete for the title. However, it was a very unfortunate win because him and Kota Ibushi were in the finals, and he won because Kota got injured mid-match. And I know it was a very he was happy, but this isn't how we wanted to win. You obviously wanted to earn the win, but still, big congrats. And hopefully, I don't know, who knows, maybe we'll get to see Kota versus Okada, at some point, hopefully. So we're going to roll into night 2 now. I'm not going to talk about the pre-show. The only reason why I brought up the match from the pre-show in night 1 is because, again, it has to do with night 2. What starts off in night 1 would continue in night 2. So our first match was for the junior IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championship, which was Rocky Romero and Ryusuke Taguchi versus Bullet Club members El Phantasmo and Taiji Ishimori, or as they like to call themselves, the world's cutest tag team. Some people are cool with that, some people are not. I'm kind of on the fence. I think I love the shirt. The shirt is fucking cute, but I know they're supposed to be the Bullet Club, so not about being cute. And then versus Tiger Mask and Robbie Eagles of Chaos. So I'm trying to break this all down and try to read my notes at the same time. It was a triple threat, and Tiger Mask and Robbie Eagles did win the titles because actually this is a bit of a turn of events. This is something I don't think I've ever really seen in wrestling, or at least not in a very long ass time. El Phantasmo and Taiji Ishimori, despite it being a triple threat, they got disqualified in the middle of the match where they found out the sudden death boot that El Phantasmo had been using had a piece of metal in it. So the reason why it was meant sudden death, the reason why it was so effective was because he had this little piece of metal inside it. And they found it, they all pinned him down and they finally took off his boot and they revealed it. And the rest were, what the fuck do we do? So they finally decided, you know what, they're out of here. Taiji Ishimori and El Phantasmo got disqualified. So it was just Rocky Romero and Raisuke Taguchi against Tiger Mask and Robbie Eagles. And then Robbie Eagles and Tiger Mask ended up winning. I gave it 3.5 stars. It was a good opener. I said congrats to the Flying Tigers, and it was cool. It was really cool to see the secret, if you will, behind sudden death, the sudden death move. Because of course, it was just like a kick. It's almost like, when John Cena had that freaking fist of doom or whatever, the lightning fist, whatever the fuck that was. And people are like, it's just a punch. It is literally just a closed fist punch. Why is that a finisher? It was kind of like the same thing, but except there was something behind it. There was, the piece of metal. So it was good to see that finally be exposed, and what better place to do it than the biggest pay-per-view of the year for New Japan Wrestle Kingdom. So we go to the second match, which was the Stardom Tag Match, which big, massive props and all the flowers thrown to the ladies, because this is the first time in a very long time, I believe, that the women get to be on the main card. They were usually on the pre-show, and now not only were they on night 2, but they were on the main card. So this was already huge for them. So we had Mayo Iwatani and the Starlight Kid versus Tam Nakano and Sayaka Kaitani. And the winner was Tam Nakano and Sayaka Kamitani. I gave it 3.75 stars. It was a really good match. And oh my God, these Stardom women are forces to be reckoned with. All 4 of them were. And all this showed me was I need to watch more Stardom, because these are some of the most talented and most athletic women I've ever seen. And I think they deserve a lot more attention. And I would hope, I know it's a little hard traveling, especially in Japan, but I would hope that some of them could possibly go to AEW, because I know they bring in a lot of talent. Especially to Dark or something, and just show what they're capable of. It would be really cool to see that. I would love to see them come to AEW, or at least just come to the US in general, just to show what Stardom is made of, because these women were absolutely phenomenal. So next we have the third match, which is the KOPW Provisional Championship. Like I mentioned in night 1, we had the Battle Royal to see the final 4 participants to see who would compete. Now in night 2, for the Provisional Championship, and like I mentioned, it was Toru Yano versus Chase Owens versus CIMA versus Minoru Suzuki. I honestly thought Toru Yano was gonna win. Nothing against the guy, but I was I didn't want him to win again. I was let it be someone different. So, but it was Minoru Suzuki won. I gave it 3 stars. It was pretty okay match. It was a little short for me. It was kind of short in my opinion, but it was still a good match. And again, I was glad to see that it wasn't Toru Yano who won. So again, I said congrats to Suzuki. The king is the king, because it's king of pro wrestling. Yeah. Okay. Okay, moving on. We're going to our 4th match, which was the Never Openweight 6-man championship. We had Hiroki Goto, Yoshihashi, and Yo taking on Evil, Yujiro Takahashi, and SHO, who are the current champions. And they did end up winning. They retained. It was a really good match. I gave it 4 stars. I kind of expected Bullet Club to retain, not only because they just won the titles, but you had Yoshihashi and Hiroki Goto just winning the titles, and I don't think they were down to do double champs for the tag titles just yet, because I know Evil's already a double champion. He's the Never Openweight champion, and now he holds the 6-man Never Openweight championship. I just don't think they do double champions back to back like that, which I'm glad they don't. Again, I think it doesn't keep the value of a title. But next we had all the stars of Noah show up. It was pretty cool, seeing the stars of Noah, but nothing really happened. They just talked about what they were going to bring to the table for night 3, and that's about it. But it wasn't really an invasion, because an invasion, I think what happened, when the Ring of Honor stars attacked the Impact stars. That's what I think of. They just showed up, said what they were going to do, and then that was it. And again, I'm only briefly touching up on it only because it did happen, but also because I'm not even going to talk about night 3 because again, I don't know if a lot of people who will be watching this watch Pro Wrestling Noah, but if you do, then like maybe we could talk about night 3 in the future, or talk more like Noah, whatever you want, because I know, like, for example, Kenta, he's an active member on New Japan, but he has worked in Noah, so like stuff like that could kind of incorporate. We can react to matches, whatever it may be. But yeah, I just thought I'd briefly sprinkle that in there because it did happen. So next, the 5th match, we had the Great Khan of the United Empire take on Sanada of LIJ. It was a fantastic match. Love to see it. Sanada took the win on this one. I was rooting for him. I do love me some LIJ, so Sanada being a part of it. Of course, I was rooting for him. I give it 4.25 stars. It was an amazing match. And again, I was going for Sanada, but Great Khan is also wicked talented also. I will give him his flowers. And I think both of them need a singles title, like today, okay? And I guess this is another reason why I really didn't like the unification of the IWGP Heavyweight title and the Intercontinental title, because the Intercontinental title, again, that was another title that, could help build stars up, If you don't want to throw the biggest belt on a wrestler, because they may not be ready for it, that's fine. But at least you still had these like mid-card titles that they could hold to show growth, show improvement, and just to, give them a title that some of these talents absolutely deserve. And I would have loved to see Sanada with the IWGP Intercontinental Championship. I think that white strap absolutely would go with him, but it's gone, and I don't think it's coming back. But I don't know. Someone's got to save us. There's got to be someone who will save us. But yeah, give Great Khan and Sanada a singles title. They need it. Or at least, give, I don't want to say tag titles because that's kind of like the easy way out for some people. Like, just give them the tag title, let them hold it for a bit, and then take it away. Like, no, they both need a singles title. Please make it happen. So the 6th match, we have Jeff Cobb of United Empire take on Tetsuya Naito. They kind of had like a little altercation, if you will, in night 1 during their match. And it seemed like I think the match was pretty impromptu. I don't know if it was pre-planned or if it was impromptu, if I'm being completely honest. Again, I was stranded in an airport and I was just trying to get home at the same time. So I don't really remember. But they did like have a little like altercation. Nothing physical, but it did happen in night 1. So this match, I guess just to lead up to this match, good match. Tetsuya Naito takes the win. I give it 4.5 stars. It was an incredible match. So much talent in New Japan that goes unnoticed or that can't be truly recognized in the form of a title because, there's the title that's not there. But it's okay. I think their talent speaks for themselves, and I give massive props to both of them and both their factions, because both factions are really good, not gonna lie. It was good to see Naito be back in time for Wrestle Kingdom. That is something I was worried about, especially because his knee injury seemed pretty serious. So, but the fact that he's back, he made it, that's really cool. But I know he really wanted to try and get the World Heavyweight title, because in Wrestle Kingdom 15, he had lost, the IWGP Heavyweight title and the Intercontinental title to Kota Ibushi. So I know he's trying to, make his comeback, kind of like the same way Okada did. So it's like now I think it's Naito's journey now, but I guess we'll have to see where that goes. The 7th match was the IWGP US title match. It was no disqualification, and it was Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Kenta, the reigning champion. Oh my God, I gave this match 5 stars. It was absolutely fucking remarkable. Hiroshi Tanahashi not only won, but seeing Tana just go past his limits, basically. Like watching him outside of like his comfort zone was absolutely like, I just couldn't help but watch in awe. It was so awesome to see. The guy's like in his 40s. I think he's like 44. But seeing him go and compete in a match that he is completely unfamiliarized, this is not his territory, and he not only brought it, but he did absolutely amazing and ended up winning. And I will never forget. Like, I go back to watch this match just for this spot. He goes to the very top of a ladder and does his signature, the high fly flow, onto Kenta through a table. I'm like, this is not Tanahashi material. So seeing him do it was fucking awesome to see. Like, he brought it, this isn't his thing, but he definitely brought it and showed, look, I can fucking hang. So it was really cool to see that. Gave it 5 stars because he won. He won back the IWGP US title from Kenta. And I hope to see more. Like, I think this should, it shouldn't be like, oh, this is all he does now. Because, again, it would just completely dilute the excitement someone would get. But I think it should be, a special occasion type thing where Tana will, if you want to challenge Tanahashi to a no disqualification match, well, best know he can fucking bring it. So that was really cool. And I thought it was a really good match. And I was very happy to see Tana step out of his comfort zone and fucking kill it. So now, our closing match, the main event, we had Kazuchiko Okada, the reigning, who just won the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship, against Will Ospreay. If you don't know why, Will Ospreay, if you are confused, you have not kept up. So Will Ospreay had the title before Shingo Takagi won it. He actually never really lost it. He relinquished, and I'm doing air quotes if you're listening, but relinquished, and I'll explain the quotes of relinquished, the title because of an injury. He got a neck injury, I believe, and because of that, he was forced to vacate the title, but he did but didn't. And to briefly explain, New Japan went, said he's no longer the champion, I believe they had they had a tournament, and Shingo Takagi ended up the winner. He won the championship, hence, why we got Okada versus Takagi at night 1. Well, Will Ospreay didn't accept that. He said, I was never defeated. He pulled that card, that I was never beaten. I never lost it. You know how it goes in wrestling. And he basically said that is my title, and I'm going to, he's basically not giving up the fact that he's not the champion. He was saying that I am the champion. He even brought out at Resurgence in September. No, it wasn't September. It was August. But anyways, regardless, he brought out the titles like, I'm still the champion. It's my title. And he said, I never lost it. So Will Ospreay was living with the belief that he was the champion. But, everyone else is like, no, you're not. It's Shingo Takagi. So finally, Will Ospreay comes back for Wrestle Kingdom, where we decide who's the real champion. So because Okada won the title from Shingo Takagi, he's just had to be the one to face Ospreay. I didn't really agree with, this way, if that makes sense. I think Will Ospreay and Shingo Takagi should have settled this in night 1, and then the winner faced Kazuchika Okada in night 2. I know there was kind of like a little connection, with Ospreay and Okada. They had their match last year at Wrestle Kingdom. It was fucking phenomenal, so I knew it was going to be a good match. But I think that Takagi and Will Ospreay should have settled this in night 1 to find out who the true champion is, because that was more between them. Ospreay not having lost the title, but saying he was still the champion, and Shingo Takagi, who was the current title holder at the time. I think that's how it should have happened. Takagi and Ospreay should have happened in night 1. Winner of that match goes on to face, Okada in night 2. And I think it would make more sense also like that because, Takagi could win to finally, shut Ospreay up. Nothing against Ospreay. I do love the guy, but I'm just saying, just to finally make him say, to finally drop the whole, I never lost it, it's my championship, whatever the hell. Finally make him drop that, since he now officially lost in a title match to Takagi, and then it doesn't start a whole new reign. Takagi gets to go on as the champion, so that way Ospreay doesn't just have the title for one win and then goes and loses it if they really wanted Okada to win. I think that would have worked better, but it happened this way, so I can't complain. And it was still a really good match. Again, if you watched their match at Wrestle Kingdom 15, it was fucking phenomenal. I called it match of the whole pay-per-view, not just night 2. It was match of the whole pay-per-view. It was fucking awesome. And Will Ospreay, he did not win. I was about to say he fucking did. No, he didn't. Kazuchika Okada retained his title. Because again, why would you have a one-day reign? It would make no sense. But Okada retains in another fantastic match. I'll give my flowers to Ospreay. He's wicked talented, and I hope to see more of him in Japan. So far as the time of filming this, not so much. But it's okay. I'll live, but I do want to see more of him in Japan, or at least more than you know. Just I want more Osprey. Okay, please give it to me. But it was, I called it a match for the history books. I gave it 5.5 stars. I know there's usually that one match that deserves more than 5 stars, and this one was definitely it. I kind of predicted that this would be the one, again, just based off last year's match. Fucking phenomenal. And I loved it. Was just, I just loved everything about it. It was a really good match. And that, like, I can, like, I can't even explain how fantastic it is. You just have to go and watch it. Watch for yourself and come back and tell me I'm right. So that is officially both nights covered. And I just want to briefly discuss before I end the show. I just want to briefly discuss my favorite match. I'll do a favorite match of night 1 and night 2, and then I'll do best match overall, and then I'll do the wrestler, I believe, of the pay-per-view, like not of the night, but of like out of both nights. So I think match of night 1. Hold on, I'm just gonna take it back and look at my notes. I'm gonna have to give it to. I know the main event was fantastic, and I even gave it 5 stars. But I'm gonna have to give the match of the night for night 1, at least, best match of that night, to El Desperado versus Haramu Takahashi. That match was fucking phenomenal, and I think what it definitely showed was that, like, don't sleep on the junior heavyweights, okay, or the title. Like, yeah, I know it's technically the junior heavyweight championship as opposed to the world heavyweight championship. You know, that's the big one. That's the one that really main events. I get it, but don't sleep on it. Like, these people don't fuck around. They're wicked talented, and they deserve just as much love and attention and recognition as the people who are in the heavyweight championship picture. Like, don't sleep on them. Don't, like, acknowledge them, if you will. I'll pull Roman Reigns on them. Acknowledge them. So that one I will give for night 1. Night 2, obviously, not just because I freaking love Hiroshi Tanahashi, but I'm gonna have to give it to that match, you know? I'm gonna have to give night 2, match of the night, to Hiroshi Tanahashi because, or not, well, and Kenta, fuck, it's the match, not the wrestler. But I'm giving it to that match because not only did Tanhashi win, you know, I'm me who fucking loves Tanhashi, but he, you know, like I had mentioned before, it was a really good match. You know, Tanahashi stepping out of his comfort zone, Kenta just bringing it as usual. Kenta coming out of this match with a freaking gash on his nose that was bleeding literally everywhere. Like, the spot before Tana's high fly flow off the ladder, he had pushed Kenta off the same ladder, and he fell face first into a trash can, and he gashed his nose. And when he got put, by the time he got put on the table, Tana did the high fly flow. There was blood literally everywhere on that table. You would have thought he's bleeding from, like, his arm or, like, his back, or he had a big, like, no, all that blood on the table was from his fucking nose. And this guy, like, massive props to both of them. They get match of the night for night 2. And best match overall, like I said, it's gotta be Ospreay versus Okada. These two just work. They just make magic together, okay? Like, they're in the ring, okay? Don't turn this into a weird thing. But they, in the ring, these two just do unbelievable, like, the most, like, badass wrestling I've seen. Some of my favorite wrestling to watch. I have gone back and watched this match, I want to say, at least 4 times already. You know, like, I just feel like putting on a match that's usually, as of late, that's usually one that I like to put on because it was just that good. And these two individuals are so wicked talented, and I hope that everyone recognizes that. Like, despite who won or who lost or who deserved it, who didn't deserve it, or how it was booked, it was a fantastic match, and it is one for the history books, like I had mentioned, and I cannot wait to see more of Kazuchiko Okada and Will Ospreay, whether it's against each other or just in their own separate ways. So they're getting match overall, like a match of Wrestle Kingdom, basically. And I gave them that title, like, just kind of by myself, you know, I was just by myself watching, but I gave them that, like, you know, I held them up that high last year for Wrestle Kingdom 15. I thought they had the best match. Then I think they had the best match this year. So, and wrestler of the pay-per-view, Obviously, I'm going to give a bunch of flowers to, Yo getting his redemption over Sho. Evil won the Never Open Weight. He's a double champion now. He has the Never Open Weight championship as well as a six-man. He's 1/3 of the six-man Never Open Weight tag team champions. I got to give flowers, of course, to Tanhashi. I got to give flowers to fucking Kenta, who's fucking phenomenal. Despite the loss, it was a really good match. Got to give my flowers to Naito. He's back. I didn't really think he would be back in time for Wrestle Kingdom. Of course, massive flowers, all the flowers to Shibata for being back in his first match. Fucking awesome to see. But I think the wrestler of Wrestle Kingdom, or the wrestler of, I don't want to say of the night because there was two of them. So of the nights, keep it plural, I'm going to have to give it to Okada. I know I've brought up Okada a lot of times, but I guess a lot of wrestlers competed both nights, but he main evented both nights. He won in a really good match, a 5-star match, in my opinion. Again, you take it as you will. You can give it as many stars as you want. It's not that deep. But I gave it a 5-star match in my book the first night, and a 5.5-star match in the second night where he retained his title. So he has gone through hell. And then he went on and won his match in Wrestle Kingdom Night 3 with Hiroshi Tanahashi against, Noah. But again, I'm not going to get too much into it because, again, I don't know how many people watch Noah. But if you do, well, we can get into it in a future episode. But yeah, that was the first show. I'm actually surprised I made it through. I think this definitely turned out a little bit better than my little guinea pig episode that I was gonna do, that I was planning on starting this originally in September during the G1. But that didn't happen. First of all, I just didn't like how it came out, and I was just very stressed with school. I wasn't really enjoying it. It felt more like a chore than like a pleasure. Like, oh, I like doing this. This is something I look forward to. It felt more like a burden, and I didn't want it to be like that because I want to enjoy this. I did enjoy this. I had so much fun just making this, and I cannot wait for future episodes. And actually, this is a good time to throw out the offer. Like I said earlier, I did plan on having a friend, and I do plan on having this friend on at some point. We are both in school though, and he lives in Ireland. So it's a little hard to plan our schedules accordingly to fit into like a set time. But I think at some point it will happen. However, if you are also a big fan of New Japan and want to come on, or we can engage in a conversation, maybe have a longer episodes if there's more than just me, please, by all means, you can reach out to me and you can, talk to me about it. And I will, if you're interested, I will let you know like what it's like, what we do, what the plan is. And I just think it'd be so much fun because I love talking New Japan, and there's not that many fans out there who I get to share this love with. There's only like, my friend Daniel, the one who I was going to do this with in Ireland. And then like just a couple others. So that I actually talked to about it, who actually keep up with it, because if you watched me on the ShElite showcase that we do every Thursday, I've said it before, there's just a lot of fans out there. I used air quote around fans because they say they watch it, but you just tell they can't because, stuff that I seem passionate about or seem that I think any fan would be like excited about, they don't show that excitement, or they don't show that they care. Like it's just pretty obvious that they don't really keep up with it. I've noticed that New Japan's kind of like a so-called flex, if you will, to just show how much pro wrestling or whatever. I just love the product. I just love watching it, and I think the talent there is fucking remarkable, and I just want more of it out there. So I'm hoping this show can encourage others to go watch it, which if you want to watch it, I believe it's on cable television now. Is it on Access? I don't know exactly what channel, but if you don't have that channel, you could buy New Japan World. It's only $10 a month. If you want, and you don't have to, you can cancel your subscription anytime, but it is worth some matches, like the ones that I had mentioned, like Okada and Ospreay, Tanhashi and Kenta. There's some matches that are definitely worth the watch, and you can go back. It's not just I watch the pay-per-view and that's it. You can go back and watch as much New Japan as you want, so you really get your $10 worth. But yeah, if you are, back to the main point, if you are interested, again, just hit me up, and I would love to talk about when the next show is. Again, I'm trying to just do big pay-per-views and big events, so I'll probably announce later like in the future, when the next show will be or what I'll be covering at least. I don't know at a specific date yet. I usually play things day by day. I'm still a college student, as you know, I've mentioned. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you want to find me, you can, it sounds weird. If you want, where you can find me online is on Instagram and at Twitter. Usually the main platforms I use the most, not really Twitter, but I still have it. You can find me at Y2Garcia with an underscore. The underscore is important. I always say if there's no underscore, it's not me, and that is the case. I've already had a couple instances where someone tries to like tag me in something, but they tag the wrong account, and I'm like, oh, I think this is meant for me. But no, yeah, make sure to include that underscore. I wish I had the regular Y2Garcia, but someone else does, so it's okay though. But yeah, if you want to check out more of what the ShElite Showcase has, you can go to Katie's Twitter at KatieWrestling13, and you can check her. If you go to her Twitter, she has a link to the link tree where you can find everything we do, where you could find us, where you can find this show, all of Katie's shows, like In the Crowd, Inside the Mind of, our regular weekly ShElite Showcase, show. And yeah, you should definitely check us out. And you can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Twitch, on twitch.tv/ShElite Showcase, where we're live, usually Thursdays. I'm usually the reason why it's not Thursdays, but at 9 p.m. Eastern time. But other than that, yeah, thank you so much for tuning in to this first episode. I really hope you enjoyed it. I sure as hell enjoyed it. And I cannot wait for what's to come in future episodes, and hopefully with some guests so we can talk New Japan, and it's not just me talking. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next episode. Bye-bye!